Hi, good afternoon. This is Ayesha, the Director of Education at the Epilepsy Foundation of Greater Chicago. I have with me today Jeff Judge. He's the Health Services Supervisor at District U46, which is Elgin. Hi, Jeff.
Hi, thank you so much for having me today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for being here. You reached out to me a couple months ago. I don't know what day today is, but you reached out and you asked for a seizure first aid training for your nurses. And I think there were about 65 people there that day. It was a pretty big crowd.
Yeah, we had 65 there today. We actually have a staff of 84.
Great. And I just wanted to maybe just have you share with our audience a little bit about your school district and sort of like why the need was for me to come out and do the seizure first aid training.
Oh, absolutely. So I work for School District U46, which is the second largest school district in Illinois, besides, of course, Chicago Public Schools. We currently have 58 locations, so we're rather large geographically, about 90 square miles. So it's always a challenge providing education in such a vast space, as I imagine it would be for like the Chicago area as well. Um, with recent changes with laws regarding education of seizures, which I've been well in support of because it's such an important piece. I mean, we are so fortunate at U46 that we have a nurse in every building who can be called upon an emergency. As far as getting a radio call going, I need assistance, they can run right away and immediately assist. But still just the understanding, having the basic knowledge of seizure disorders for students, that immediate response, because there is a delay even from the time that a teacher or an assistant would notice a student having a seizure or possibly starting to have a seizure. The care that could be immediately provided until the nurse arrives. So I think it's invaluable, and I think just the overall understanding is really going to benefit students uh, as far as their education goes, and just the environment of being within a school where the supervising adults really understand what a seizure is, what the signs and symptoms are, how to respond, and just paying that extra special close attention to students, understanding what their baseline is, and just learning to recognize what's if they have auras or some predisposing factors that might offer clues to onset of a seizure. I think that can really improve the health of students and safety and just the comfort level of the adults supervising them as far as knowing what to do and when to do it. I think most of our teachers and people that work within our schools are truly excellent, and they're very kind and caring, and they really want to help students, but they just don't have that knowledge. So I think this recent updates in the laws and working with someone like you who was willing to come out and provide that, because I really wanted our nurses to get the training that everyone else would be getting so that they can mirror the same language. Not that they didn't know that information, but just so they could learn more from you, get in your organization, and also really get an understanding of what's going to be rolling out to other people so they can support and mirror that initiative.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, you said a lot of really great things. First, I'm glad that you're on board with the Seizure Smart School Act because I had a pretty big hand in writing that. So I'm glad that we're on the same page
Good
there.
for you.
Yeah, no, but and you also touched on something that's really, really important, which is that you're lucky you're in a school district that has one nurse per building. And in my work with Chicago Public Schools, I know that's not the case. A lot of times they have one nurse per maybe 5 or 6, 7 schools. A lot of suburban schools do have that luxury, but still beyond that, like you said, it's really important for everyone sort of to have that first level knowledge, that basic seizure first aid, the recognition you mentioned, knowing a student's auras or the triggers. Those things are really critical, as you say, because there is often a delay between being able to hit a buzzer and getting a nurse to come down. The nurse could be with another student or with another emergency at that moment. So you're right. It does make sense for everyone on board to have that education.
It does, and thank you so much for coming out to provide that education and moving forward. I'm so excited because we've really got a plan in place to really reach as many U46 staff as we can with this initiative. Because even though we provide some type of online learning, it
Mhm.
does not, it does not replace that experience that one has with an actual lecturer being present, getting a chance to ask live questions,
Right.
get immediate feedback. I think that's so important, and I think the online stuff is excellent as a base. But I think what we really need to do is continue building on that, so we really not only build awareness but education, so that people can respond for our students.
Right. And as you mentioned, so this law, the Seizure Smart School Act, does go into effect July 1 of this summer. I'd love for you to share a little bit about sort of what that plan is that you're going to put in place with all of your schools. How are you going to roll out this education into the rest of your schools? Where do I fit
Oh,
in?
well, oh, you don't even know. You're going to so much. You're probably going to get sick of hearing from me. But so our plan at this point is we have planned education days that are for our entire district, um, and putting together a program so that each and every one of those days throughout the entire next year, we can hopefully work with your organization, so that we can provide this education, and have workshops set up throughout those education days. So basically, we would be repeating the same course over and over again to reach the masses. And we have the capability to reach a lot of people uh, pretty quickly because we're very fortunate. We have some pretty sizable auditoriums and venues to present in. So we can potentially reach like 300 to 500 people each class.
Wow.
Yeah, so I mean, we really have a great opportunity, and I would love to do the live, so we can have that answer and question time, because I really think that's so important. And I'm hoping moving forward after that, we can develop together some other initiatives to really narrow down some specific programs that may need additional support, especially like our pre-care programs and
Mhm.
also after care programs. And then we have a whole nother set of initiatives because we have coaches who are doing away games. Since the last time I worked with you, I've come up with so many more thoughts like, oh my gosh, what about this? What about this? And what would we do in that scenario when we're in this particular situation? So I really appreciate you coming out and really opening my mind to thinking in a completely different way and how we can support students in all aspects, whether it's, here within our schools, outside in the sport, football field,
Mhm.
an away game, whether we're taking a trip to Washington, D.C., or, doing a cheer team at Disney World. Of course, right now, all that's been stopped, unfortunately,
Yeah.
because of the, pandemic. But, we will get back into that place again. So I'm really looking forward to working with you, and we'll
Yeah.
that we can get it to the masses.
Yeah, you touched on a lot of really great important points, especially with field trips and students oftentimes being not allowed to go on field trips, mostly because sort of the lack of awareness, the lack of understanding, not having an emergency plan put in place. The seizure action plan, which is one of the salient parts of the act, is going to be a tool for you and for everyone on your staff to know what to do, who to call at any time that there is an emergency, and all of that is outlined in the seizure action plan. So I like where you're thinking. And last year, my education team, we educated over maybe 15,000 people, and so I really look forward to making that number grow bigger and bigger for sure. And you're right. Like every place that a student goes is where that training should happen. And because epilepsy is a chronic disease, it's better to treat and to take care of things as quickly as possible versus letting them sort of fester and dealing with a seizure when it's an emergency. We want to prevent that from happening for sure.
For sure,
Do you
absolutely.
have any examples of situations where you have had a seizure action plan, a staff member has looked at it, has sort of dealt with the situation, and it's been happy news for everyone?
We are very fortunate, like you said, because we do have nurses in every building, and we do actually have seizure action plans in place. For us, it's the challenge that even though we're communicating the seizure action plan, it's the additional training piece on the other end, especially for teachers and those receiving that information. I mean, we do one-on-one brief training that is specific towards the seizure action plan for that particular student. But I have to say, the one thing that comes to mind right away is that we had one of our schools where there was a few seizure action plans in place. There was a student that had a seizure, did not have a history of seizures. This was it was a new onset seizure. And because it was a teacher that had been involved with the seizure action plan, they actually responded truly excellently. They notified, they responded, they kind of mirrored and mimicked the information. They used the knowledge that they had to assist the student. And the student, of course, ended up exiting the school via EMS. And is doing well now, but it turned out that student had a brain tumor, an unknown brain tumor. So this wasn't actually an epileptic event at the time. It was more related to the brain tumor, but it was still a seizure.
Right.
And not surprisingly, this student actually has a seizure disorder now, as many do after.
Related to the brain tumor.
Correct. But I have to give absolute kudos and credit to the teacher who took that initiative, to use the knowledge that she had and responded. So that's why I think this project is so important, because having that knowledge initially, any one of our students could have any number of conditions that may lead to seizures. So we never know when it's going to happen or where it's going to happen. So everyone having that knowledge is so imperative, because it just helps prepare for those situations. As we're all learning in this COVID-19 world, be prepared. Knowledge is truly power, and having that knowledge ahead of time, because you just never know when it's going to happen.
Right.
But it's going to happen at some point.
It is, yes. Yes, you're right. And it's just best to be prepared. I mean, I think we've talked about the stats before. 1 in 10 people will have a single seizure in their lifetime. 1 in 26 people can develop epilepsy in their lifetime. So it is a lot more common than people think. And I think that most people do understand the seizure first aid. They just might not have that sort of confidence in it. But I think the gut instinct is there, that they know, if someone's having a convulsive seizure, to turn them to their side, never put something in their mouth. I think people know that is a myth. That's an old wives' tale, and it is my job to dispel that myth as long as I can keep doing my work, for sure.
Well, thank you for all the work you're doing. I can't tell you how much we appreciate it. I have to say, your presentation was truly excellent. I got such incredible feedback, and especially for a group that isn't knowledgeable of seizures, but hearing your enthusiasm, excitement, your knowledge, it really inspired and motivated them. And I think that is another reason for live presentations, because you can never convey that via truly via a webinar, or having that personal 6 feet away personal experience. Just seeing the excitement and the energy that comes off of you when you speak. Obviously, you're very passionate about this. We really appreciate all your work, and I can't wait to really get this initiative rolling out and to take it further, because I think it's such an important step we can take for our community.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the high compliments, Jeff. I really appreciate it. I definitely look forward to working with you post-pandemic, when all of this clears over and we can actually be in the same room. I look forward to that very much. Again, all of our trainings are free. The seizure training for school personnel, that law goes into effect July 1. So definitely reach out to the Epilepsy Foundation, and we are here to take care of all of that education for you. So thank you again for joining me this afternoon.
Thank you. And stay safe, stay healthy. I really appreciate everything.
Yes, you as well. Take care. I have with me today Hannah Gomez. She's the director at Autism Home Support Services. Hi, Hannah.
Hi. How are you?
Great. Thanks for joining me today. I recently received a request from Hannah to do a seizure first aid training for her, and she became one of our Seizure Smart partners. And I gave her one of these decals that she stuck on her front door. And I just wanted to reach out to you to talk to you today about kind of like why you reached out to the Epilepsy Foundation for the seizure first aid training. I'd love to have the audience learn a little bit more about what you do and why there is that connection.
Yeah, so we do ABA and speech therapy for individuals with autism from 18 months all the way to adulthood. I'm a center manager, so I work primarily in the clinic, but we also serve in-home. And so part of the reason it was important for us to get this training was, even though we haven't had a client or a family with a seizure, what we learned is that about 35% of individuals with autism, children, will have a seizure by the time they're adolescents. So it was really important for us to proactively know the signs if we were to see one, and also know how to remain calm and effectively follow the procedure to keep everybody safe.
Mm-hmm. And have you, I know we just gave you the training just a few weeks ago, but have you seen any instances where this training wouldn't have helped you? Or we talked about the seizure action plan and making sure that all of the students that you work with have seizure action plans. Have you had the opportunity to do something like that yet?
We've posted some of the resources that you shared with us. We haven't had a specific case where we've needed to apply it yet, but by keeping everybody fresh and keeping with what the steps would be if we were to see those is really helpful, so we can be prepared should we observe that, not just with clients, but if another family member or child comes, just because, you know, other people can have seizures as well. So just being proactive.
Right. And one of the things that we did talk about in the training with you is that, yes, there is an association rate of autism and epilepsy up to about 35–40%. And a lot of the behaviors that are demonstrated by people on the autism spectrum are very similar to behaviors that are symptoms, rather, of different types of seizures, because there are more than 20 different types of seizures. They can look very different from, two people with the same diagnosis can even exhibit symptoms in a very different way. So that is something that we've noticed at the Epilepsy Foundation in our world of education, that the crossover is just greater and greater, and that there are so many comorbidities with epilepsy and autism. And April being Autism Awareness Month, we thought this would be great to have this conversation with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think information is power, and planning ahead doesn't just help the people that you care about and that you're serving, but it helps, you know, everybody in the community as well. So if you love someone with autism, this is definitely a step you can take to proactively help those individuals, because we always, especially in ABA, want to be ruling out any medical cause, and this is one way we can be collaborating with their medical team to make sure that we are.
Mm-hmm. And for those that might not be aware, can you tell us what ABA stands for?
Yeah, ABA stands for Applied Behavior Analysis. So it's, you know, the number one therapy intervention for individuals with autism. And it's great because it uses a lot of principles of reinforcement and behavior strategies to really help people develop independence and quality of life.
Right. And can you tell us an example of something that you might do in working with a child or young adult who might come to your clinic?
For ABA,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so we always use an indirect and direct assessment. And then depending on what that person needs, we would develop goals for the areas of communication, socialization, learning readiness or adaptive life skills, replacement behaviors for any challenging behaviors, and then develop a program and a structured therapy depending on where that needs to be to help this person achieve those goals that we've collaborated on, either with the individual or with their family. And they have behavior therapists who work directly with them. And yeah, we just make progress towards those goals and adapt as we need.
That's really great. That's really great. And if there's any other message that you would like to send out to families who might have children in the same situation where they might have sort of behaviors on both comorbidities, what sorts of messages would you share with them?
I would say, document everything and collaborate with your medical professional, be that your pediatrician or another professional who you've gone to specifically make sure that like this might be a seizure, or they would help you rule it out and see if it is behavioral. But that collaboration and documenting and communicating is going to be the best first step you can take.
Hmm. Now, we had also talked about a seizure action plan. Is there something for autism that students might use to help document or, circumstance things?
Yeah, so, we would, if we started to see a behavior that we weren't sure what was
Mhm.
the cause, we would write out what it looks like and start tracking that. So you can either make a table of your own on Word, or, you can search online. If you have a BCBA, you can collaborate with them, start tracking those, timing them. So then you have that information to take to your medical professional. Because your BCBA, will want to be included in the action plan, but your medical professional is going to want to be like the primary source for that action plan. So that's probably what we would want to do first is, what are we seeing? Why do we think it might be a seizure? Here's the information to take.
Right. I think everything always goes back to documentation. That's always the first step. Document, record, whatever you can do, get that evidence on paper.
Definitely.
Great, great. Well, I just want to thank you for being a Seizure Smart partner. We're really excited to have you on board. All it took was a training for your staff, and anyone can become a Seizure Smart school or a Seizure Smart partner. As you know, the Seizure Smart School Act goes into effect July 1. So we're really excited that we have been able to help you, and we are here to help you and your families if they need anything from us.
Yeah, thank you so much. We appreciate it. We appreciate what you do.
All right, thanks for your time. Take care.
Take care. Bye.